All right, welcome to Parlay Weekly with Cris Bruce and myself, Kyle. So today we have some big topics to talk about. I thought that it's been a while since we've been on the show. We took a 2 week break after the Super Bowl because it was like a Super Bowl hangover, I guess you could say. But it's good to have you back, Chris, and I'm excited for this one because I think there's a lot to talk about and kind of a deeper meaning behind stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad I'm back. I know damn near every bet in last podcast lost, and I'm down $500. But it's time to redeem myself with the new topic. So let's get it going.
We did not do very good on that one. We we struggled for sure, I think, but I don't know. I don't if you have any bets tonight afterwards, let the listeners know. But I didn't really have anything prepared for. I mean, right now, what do you got? You got basketball and NHL.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You also got college basketball, but I mean, I we should even have had this on there. But it's okay, and I think we can talk about it in the very beginning here. Is there a March Madness this year?
Right. Yeah. No. For sure. I think it'll be a March Madness. They'll put all the safety measures needed. It'll definitely probably be a bubble. I would think, but I know they can't even afford to like miss out on March Madness back to back years. So they'll do anything it takes. And for the most part, the college basketball season has went on without like too many hiccups. It's been missed games and postponements and different things like that. But for the most part, everything's been going somewhat smooth. So I definitely expect them to have a March Madness with no issue. So
Yeah, I think that if they have a March Madness this year, it'll probably be the biggest viewing probably ever that they've had. Just because you have to think we've been talking about it. I mean, you send me the posts all the time um, on Instagram from like BR Betting, and they share the information on how much these guys are actually spending. And it's just crazy that so much money is being spent on sports gambling. And if March Madness hits, I mean, I have you seen the number yet? I haven't seen the number for the overall betting for the Super Bowl yet. But I would like to see that one because I'm guessing that's well over $1 billion.
yeah, I think so. I think more like the casino, like the physical locations, and even Vegas, they might have seen like numbers down. But as far as like mobile sports betting goes, it was definitely a record, and it was a huge increase mobily. So, but for March Madness, literally the only issue that could come up is like, what if they had a bubble and people were getting COVID inside the bubble and it was going from team to team? Like that's the only issue, right? Like I could see impacting it, but
I mean,
for the most part, they'll be super, super strict. So I
well,
doubt it.
and I think too, right? I mean, most schools are doing almost all online. I mean, I feel like so. I don't think that's really that big of an issue if you toss all these guys into one hotel and say, "Hey, all right, this you guys got to this you guys got to live for the next month and play
Yeah,
basketball." Okay, like
yeah,
I'll do that.
100%, 100%.
But all right, so I wanted to get to it today on. So this topic is called new homes, which is funny because it kind of sounds like almost like new Patrick Mahomes, but it's not. But so new homes, I wanted to bring up first Carson Wentz and him going to the Colts, and I don't know if you saw it, but it was a Pittman, the receiver. He's like a sophomore.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
going
he's
into sophomore year now.
and he wears number 11, and he had like a sit down conversation with Wentz before the like right when he got over there, and he goes like, no offense to you, man, but I'm gonna keep my number, you can't have it, you know what I mean? Like I'm sorry, but it's just my number, and that's what happens. And I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if my man is delusional or not, but I guess he forgets and he thinks the rules are reversed. But if he wants that ball, I think I would keep Carson Wentz happy, right? Like if I could, like if it's just a number, right? But maybe it has some sentimental value to him or something. But if this dude was like, "Yo, I'm gonna give you 100K for a number," there shouldn't be a reason why he turns it down. But it is what it is. His dad played in the NFL, so I'm sure he's good anyway, and he plays in the NFL. So
Yeah, I mean Carson Wentz too even said about it. He's like, yeah, new city, maybe new feeling or something like that. I'm like, a number ain't gonna change how you play, man. Like,
nah, bro. Carson Wentz has been straight garbage. Like being from the Philly area, obviously being in contact with a bunch of Philly fans, watching a bunch of Philly games. Like this dude, he's just bad. It was just weird because it wasn't really much to do with like physical attributes and his talent there. It had more to do mentally. Like the dude couldn't see defenses. It seemed like he was regressing at the quarterback position as far as like how you prepare, how you go into the game, how you read defenses. Like it didn't make any type of sense to me. And the only thing I could think that really messed up his psyche was watching Nick Foles probably win a Super Bowl and watch him take his team, right? Philly is a tough city to play sports in. So when you struggle, it's very tough. So I think that was also a factor. Like they were killing him on the radio. Like there was times I thought Carson Wentz might have been concussed when he was out there. He was bad at times, just like reading defenses, throwing bad balls. But again, I think in a new situation, it should help him. He's so gifted and he can make throws not many quarterbacks in the league can make. Right. So I think as long as they fix what's up here, I think he'll be fine. And I think he still has a chance to be an elite quarterback.
Yeah, I think he has still promise, right? I mean, he was fantastic in college, um, and obviously he played at a smaller school in college. But I guarantee if he played at one of the bigger schools like in the SEC, I still think that he'd probably be a starter there as well, and he'd still succeed pretty well there too. Maybe he'd have different coaching and maybe come out a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Carson Wentz though, I think that he's still got a. I think he still has a future, right? I think there's still room to grow, and I have three names written down right here. It is Wentz, Watson, and Trubisky, right? We talked about it beforehand, and I said, look, there's young quarterbacks right now on the move, right? I think that's the three of them, right? I mean, Goff already did his stuff. We talked about that before. You have Wentz, he's already gone. And now you kind of have this like Watson and then like Trubisky, right? Other than that, like Trubisky, like although he's not a great quarterback, he's still in that conversation of saying, okay, well, a team could still pick him up, put him as a starter, and you know what I mean, and you can still, finish the year 8-8 as long as. But if you have a good team around him, also, I think coaching goes into it too. Do I think that Nagy and those guys coach Trubisky well? No, that's the same reason Watson wants to go as well. Watson doesn't like the team. He doesn't like the coaches. He doesn't like, you know what I mean? He just doesn't like the atmosphere of playing there because they haven't grown enough, right?
Right.
And I think same thing with, I think that with the Bears, right, compared to the Texans, the Bears kind of have that more of that core already there, and that's why I think Watson would be a good fit. But also at the same time, you also have to think like a team like the Texans. Okay, well, they're probably in more of a rebuilding stage, kind of like how Philly is, right? So maybe you look at a guy like Trubisky and say, okay, well, let's snag him in this trade. Let's not give up too much. Maybe let's sneak out with, if we trade Ray Watson, maybe we get a couple of first rounders, right? Then you also look at it in the future and say, okay, well, we keep the schmo around for a little while, and then you wait for a nice draft pick later on, and maybe you get someone, or maybe Trubisky shows out, and maybe he just has a better career than everyone thought he was going to have.
Right. I mean, they have a lot of options, right? And especially if they want to trade him to someone like Miami or someone like that who has a high draft pick this year and that can package multiple picks, right? If they find a quarterback they like this year, they can definitely try to trade up and try to go get him, right, in exchange for Deshaun Watson. So at least you won't be left hanging. But as far their culture, man, just bad. Bill O'Brien was horrible. Like I couldn't believe he was the GM and the coach. Like he was bad. He was bad decision makings at times at coaching, time management at times. His decisions was horrible. His play calls, I was like, dude, what are you doing? And then his GM moves. Brandon Cooks. He was like, listen. He was like, all right, let's give away DeAndre. That's all right. We'll get a second round and Brandon Cook. We'll bring in Brandon Cooks. Like what, dude? Then obviously Deshaun Watson for half his career is running around, don't know where to go because his line can't even block, right? Like, so it's just crazy. Not only to mention, supposedly, the Texans said he'll be a part of like decisions going forward, right? Like GMs, coaches, different things like that. And then this year they told him that, and then they hire dudes without even consulting him. So it doesn't make any sense. Deshaun Lawson is a talent, right? Like he's arguably a top 5 quarterback in the league. Like if he was around just a competent coach and organization, he might have already been in like MVP conversations or potentially won an MVP. So I think going forward, right, like whatever team he goes to, and it's important to say that he also has a no trade clause, so he does have some type of leverage in this situation as well. So I think Deshaun Watson trade potentially could shake up the league and could potentially have Super Bowl implications just to where he goes, depending on what he does. I think, as you were saying before, Trubisky, I'm not a big fan. I think dude's done, to be honest. He's not done. He could obviously get better, but I honestly just don't see it at all. He might have one more year, if that, right? Like starting, he might have a few games to impress somebody. But I definitely expect Deshaun to be great next year. I expect Wentz to be a little bit better. I think the interesting things about Wentz, supposedly he came in the league, he was very humble, right? He was like this nice kid from North Dakota, small town boy, and then obviously he becomes an MVP candidate, right? Like he's on one of the best teams in the league, then gets hurt and they win the Super Bowl. But like just like all the fame and everything really got into his head. So I hear he's sort of like a diva now, which makes sense. That's damn near every star in the NFL, right? Or even any dude from humble beginnings. So that'll be interesting to watch because as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't have any reason to be a diva from how he's been playing, right? Like the last year and a half. So we'll definitely see. I expect some big deals to go down and a lot of quarterbacks to be moved. Potentially even Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo. The list goes on and on.
Boom. So. See, there's that's why this one's a new homes. That's why it's all these quarterbacks have just places to go. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, right? I mean, that's a big name. The 49ers are. I mean, there's rumors with them right now. I mean, obviously rumors are always fun to talk about in the NFL because the rumors are most of the time like 1% true. But like same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, does Jimmy Garoppolo go to? And also, wait, the best part too, right here is the little kicker here is that you have Dak Prescott coming back from a ankle injury where he's not even signed either. So you have Dak Prescott, you have Deshaun Watson, you have Jimmy Garoppolo, you have Matt Ryan, you have Big Ben. Drew Brees hasn't made his decision yet. You still have Aaron Rodgers where he's in Green Bay, but is he happy? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he talked about that game and he said he gave his opinion on little things, right? So is he happy? They also drafted a quarterback 2 years ago in Jordan Love. So do you know what I mean? So there's so many things like with this quarterback because what was it last year? Last year was more of like it's weird. Every year it's different, right? Every year it's different. Sometimes I've seen it where it goes to like defensive ends and defensive linemen, right? You had Khalil Mack. Now you have J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt's done. I thought he was done 5 years ago. Has that man played an entire season in 5 years? Probably not. And if he has, then he wasn't producing the numbers he should be for the name of who he is and who he's created himself as, right? I think he's done, right? But I think this year it's all about those quarterbacks. There really is. I mean, you have, like I said, Prescott. You also have questions too, like with Miami. Do you stick with Tua or Fitzpatrick is done, I think, too. He's on the end of his career. But also you have Miami quarterbacks, right? And then you also have these other guys. You have Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence coming in. You have Fields coming in, right? You have these and Wilson from BYU. So there's a lot of new guys coming in that have a lot of talent. These older guys and even younger guys too that don't really fit the mantra of the league or of the team. So it's going to be exciting here for the next few months is to see what happens. And I would love to see, I think, and now this is me being biased here, who I am as a Chicago Bears fan, get the fucking Trubisky out of there, man. Just get him out. Get him out. Get him and Foles gone, man. Just give me someone. Give me someone big name for 1 year. Give me a 1 year deal for call up Andrew Luck and see if he wants to come back for a year. You know what I mean? Give me one big name.
For sure. I mean, they need to call up someone. I know they're in the Carson Wentz trade rumors. They lost me a bunch of bets last year, to be honest. But I think you're right, with the quarterback carousel. I think another name that you left out, Jameis Winston. I know a lot of people think he's done, and they call him 30 for 30, no ESPN doc, different things like that. But Jameis Winston, listen, he got his eyesight fixed. He has played under Sean Payton for this past year, one of the best offensive minds in the game. Got to learn a little bit under Drew Brees. So I think he can potentially take his next step. And what I heard and I read reports that the Saints would be totally fine if Brees quit and they had to move forward with Jameis because they feel comfortable there. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of moves to be made. I expect Dak, right, and the Cowboys to get a deal done. I expect different things, but do not be surprised if the whole league gets shaken up and we see a lot more big deals before the preseason. So
yeah. All right, so we're gonna move next to. I thought this was a big one that we talked about, and you told me about it too earlier, and I want your opinion on the man. We've talked about him several times before. He's been in our mouths since like day one, just like Kirk Cousins was. Big Ben, man. I mean, it's interesting, and I saw a couple of things on it. And he kind of said, I believe the article said something about like he wanted to play or whatever else, but the Steelers organization and Mike Tomlin like are cool with that if he wants to stay with the team, but they have to think about their future and like, do you run like a dude like, I mean, think about it. This is the way I look at it, Chris, is that you had a year that you went, they won 12 games straight?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe.
And then 11, you ended up pretty much just
11
playing dog crap the rest of the year and don't even do well in the playoffs. So do you stick with the old man that maybe you get those 12 wins again? Okay, but what are you missing? Maybe you don't have them, and maybe you get rid of Mason Rudolph and whatever the other bum's name was, you know what I mean? Like it just
Duck Hodges back in the day. Bum.
And just it's is that right? So like, do you stick with the old fart or do you try to go for someone? Do you are the Steelers in the mix too? Are the Steelers in the mix of a Deshaun Watson? Are they in the mix of a maybe they pick up Mitch, right? You know what I mean? Or maybe they try to go for Garoppolo or you know what I mean? So they're I feel like the Steelers with Big Ben is all in question right now.
Yeah, no, the crazy thing is I'm not hearing them in the market. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I'm hearing that they potentially might move on from Ben, and then I read a report that's yesterday that Ben's agent said the Steelers want him back. I don't want him back. He's done. He's washed. He doesn't have an arm. He's horrible. This dude be scared to get hit. He's unhealthy. Like, he's slow. Like, we don't need him anymore. We need to move on. Like, if we bring him back, we are wasting a year next year, right? Like, this is a very talented team around this the Steelers have, right? Like, their wide receivers core is very, very talented. And whatever running back situation will be fluid. I expect to make moves there. And we're talking about one of the best defenses in the league, right? If not the best defense, if Devin Bush doesn't get hurt and we don't have a bunch of injuries on the back end of the year, I mean, we're potentially a Super Bowl winning team. But, last year, it's no way you can look at that offense. It's no way you can look at Big Ben, especially how we finished, and think this team can compete. Like, there's no way at all. I mean, we picked up Dwayne Haskins, and I think that's more like a project to see how he does. We have him on a 1 year, right, just to see if he actually is willing to prepare like an NFL quarterback should. But I haven't heard any names at all. I haven't heard any deals, and I'm super confused because I get that Ben will take a massive pay cut, but he's done. Are they trying to win or not? Like the windows are so tight and small in the NFL to win, and they have an extremely talented team. And if they keep Big Ben, they're going to waste a year, and it makes no sense at all, especially when you have a bunch of options and a bunch of different quarterbacks you can actually go out and get. So that's my only thing, besides them firing Mike Tomlin, which they should have been did because he's a horrible coach. But as far as the quarterback position goes, it's time to move on.
I think you're right with Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin was he had his run, right? He had his run when you guys went to the Super Bowl. Santonio Holmes in the end zone, right? That kind of stuff, right? Mike Tomlin had his run. And I think that's also what is wrong with the NFL too, is I think teams become biased and get comfortable with who they have, where they normally okay, well, you got us a Super Bowl, you got us championship, you got us into the playoffs these 4 years in a row, but here we are 4 years later, and, okay, well, we got in the playoffs, but we lost early, but, we're not really showing any signs yet. and I think with the NFL, what they do is I think that it's just those owners get so comfortable with that coach, and they don't want to have that like they don't feel like they should need to rebuild too much, so they're kind of afraid in a sense. Because I think Mike Tomlin was done 3 years ago. I thought he was done 3 years ago. The same way that Harbaugh was done with the Ravens. Same way that I thought that Harbaugh was done with Michigan Wolverines. I thought they were done, right? I mean, and I think they are, right? I mean, it's ran
he
its
signed an
course.
extension. It's literally crazy. That is done. You're right. I don't understand why they gave him an extension, even though it was like contingent on some things like his pay and his structure. The thing I will say though about John, right? Like on the Ravens, like they reinvented themselves. They have a new young star, right? Like they have a future. They feel like that's the way to go. They make adjustments. Like Mike Tomlin's just a bad coach. Like Denzel Washington's cool to watch and remember the Titans pumping the team up. By the end of the day, you need a coach that is able to understand X and O's, able to make adjustments throughout the game. Mike Tomlin doesn't make any adjustments, or at least it looks like he doesn't make adjustments. I heard someone say he makes adjustments, but to me, the weakness is attacked first, second, third, fourth quarter, and I just don't see any change. He's just a bad coach. He's cool. Everyone respects him, but like that's enough. That's not enough to get the job done in the NFL. Like I get that they only had a handful of coaches in the last few decades, which is crazier than most teams. But I mean, we're wasting talent. We're wasting a bunch of dudes.
Well, and you're wasting years, right? You're wasting years. I mean, I think Watt on your guys' team. I think that he has the ability. I mean, he's a fantastic player. I believe that he's already in that range of like the Joey Bosa and him, and you know what I mean. And I think that in the future here, I mean, you got to look at the next 3 years. I think those next 3 years, he's in the same conversation with Bosa, in that same category as like an Aaron Donald almost, right? As those defensive linemen that are just lights out. You double team the hell out of this dude because he's that good. And I think that. And you have to think too, like you guys have Clayton or Claypool, right? Claypool.
Right.
You have Claypool. I think Schuster still. I think he still has more to show. I think he just got to, he was stuck with
contract. Yep.
He was stuck with quarantine, and I give him benefit of the doubt. He's my age. He was born on my same day as me, so I like him. But other than that, right? Like I mean, you guys have these very talented younger players. I think, and like how you said it too. You have a very talented defensive, defense itself, right? And I think that when you have a quarterback, and it's the same thing, man. I mean, you can compare it your season, damn near to me, and how I can compare our season with the Bears. I mean, if you have a quarterback that can, keep you alive, and you know what I mean, and he's not like afraid, or like Big Ben, he's old, right, or whatever else, your season goes differently because you have to keep those guys on defense healthy. You have to keep them hydrated. You have to help keep them rested. And, if you're doing 3 and out every single, time, or throwing a pick or something like that, it's like, well, okay, well, now you know why we're losing, because come on. As the smartest people have always said, defense wins games. That's a fact. Because if you didn't have a defense, then what? Then it's whoever scores more points. And you know what I mean? If you got a defense that can stop, that's what you need. And Big Ben, I think, is a big question mark. I think there's a big question mark next to his name. And then a little bit over here where no one can see it as a big ass asterisk that's saying, and then at the very bottom it says, get his ass out of here. I think he was done. And like I said, it's like with some of these coaches. They just get comfortable. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
All right. I want to move forward here to this one. So MLB, we had looked this up beforehand, and what was his name? Tatis?
Tatis.
Yeah. Okay, so he signed like a $300 and some $1 million contract for like 12 years, something like that, or 14 years or something.
3 or 400. I think it might have been 421 for like a certain amount of years. Yeah,
okay, so 420. So a shit ton of money for a lot of years for a bro that pretty much came out of the woodworks. I mean, he had maybe 2 years ago, he had a good year. I didn't really see his name pop up much. It's kind of like the guy from the Braves, Acuna or whatever his name is. He had like one good year. And to me, and how I think about this one is, and I'll give it to you right here. So that's why I want you to look up Mike Trout's age. So Mike Trout is 29. His deal ends in 2030. So he'll be Okay. And then for $426 million for a 12-year contract. Garrett Cole, his contract ends in 28, and he is in 2028 for $324 million, and he's 30 years old. Now, like, to me, that is like crazy because you have to think about guys like now we'll do cross sports, right? You have to think about like a guy like Derrick Rose. Okay. Now I'm a little biased because he's from the Bulls and we had him and we thought he was fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I think he was a great player before he got all his injuries. But
Right.
imagine imagine if a guy like Derrick Rose, right,
Right.
and he gets injured. Who tells me that Mike Trout in 2022 doesn't tear his ACL and is not the same player he is the next year and never again? I think that these long-term deals that baseball does is the dumbest thing in the world. I like it in football because I think you only play a certain amount of games, you only get so much out of a guy, and you want to keep him happy, right? With baseball, these guys are playing 100 and okay, let's average it out. You're probably playing about 150 games a year out of the 162 game season, and you got a guy playing 12 years on your team. I'm sure there's an opt out in there too for the player, but it's probably locked in for that club. So it could be like a dude like I don't know, Garrett Cole. You're telling me that at age 38 years old, in his final year of his contract, this dude's gonna be the same as he was this year at the age of 30? No, come on. Like, you're not Tom Brady. Like, you know what I mean? No, we already have one of those people in the sports. You don't get another five of those guys. Like, that's why I'm really bugged out about this one.
Yeah, I mean, Tatis also looked it up 14,340. But yeah, we see these contracts all the time in baseball. And the crazy thing about it is we have endless examples of where they were not even worth the contract a few years in. We have Robinson Cano who cheated, sorry, and was popped. We got Alex Rodriguez, we got Albert Pujols, like the list goes on and on. Bryce Harper got a fat deal a couple years ago, just literally insane, and he's been somewhat disappointing in Philly. But so it's crazy, especially when you think about it. I get Mike Trout, right? He's probably the best modern baseball player of all time, according to analytics, and just like a bunch of people would say it, right? He obviously hasn't had the same success like winning or anything like that, but it's just tough, right? To sacrifice a bunch of money, especially when the contracts are guaranteed, and when you know you're going to be overpaying these dudes for years to come, right? Like you might get like a few good years on them, and then you still have the rest of the contract, and then you're trying to trade the contract. It just becomes like a huge thing, right? Where you're paying these dudes in a certain amount of money that has nothing less. I think the thing about Tatis, it's pretty crazy because I think this year he was really awesome, and he's to talk about the new being the new face of the league, but why pay him now? Like I get it, but like why pay him now before free agency? Why pay him before you really really have to pay him this money, right? Like if I'm a team, I do whatever I can to basically just like wait out and not pay them, even like going to arbitration, maybe getting a year there, like different things. Like there's just so many options you can do rather than pay someone straight up before. Like to cross sports, we seen Todd Gurley get an absurd contract from the Rams. Football's a little different because it's not guaranteed, and they were able to get out of it some. But they paid him when they didn't have to pay him. And as soon as they paid him, his contract wasn't even up or anything. He went like that. He got injured. He was just never the same back, and they're just paying this dude a bunch of money when they didn't have to. Like I understand why teams might do it, right? You knock two birds, one stone. The player's happy, right? And you have a happy like cornerstone to your franchise, and that goes a long way, right? Even like recruiting other players and going in. And the second is, I guess teams sometimes think, okay, it might be cheaper to pay Tatis now, right? Like when we're thinking years down the line, when the salary cap might go up, when contracts start hit record highs and new highs, right? Rather than having to pay him those new highs or whatever, you can just pay him now, right? So when we fast forward, the deal won't look as bad. But to me, I'm just not a fan of paying a player way before you have to, or even giving a player such a long contract. Because as you said, there's nothing guaranteed in sports. Injuries happen all the time. Dudes don't pan out all the time. Like it is so hard to be elite every year you step on the field, court, whatever it is. So I just would have liked to see them wait wait a little bit, right? At least wait till after this year or something. So
Here, actually, you know what? I want to look it up. Arian,
You.
type in really fast. Chris, was Jimmy Garoppolo, was he traded or was he signed as a free agent?
he was traded
Okay.
mid-season.
Did they ever give him an extension?
They gave him that extension like 6 years, like 120 something,
Okay.
right after the year because he went 6-0.
All right, Aaron, never mind. I know Chris knows his stuff with contracts. That's why I thought about it, but I was like, I bet Chris knows this one. But no, the same thing with a guy like that, right? Does he pan out to be the guy that everyone thought he was going to be? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's the player that everyone said. Okay, well, hey, he was just like Brady was behind Bledsoe, and now this bro is behind Brady. This guy's next. No, it's not. It's not a guarantee, right? I mean, you look in baseball, and I can give you a few names here. Carlos Quentin. Carlos Quentin played for the Rockies, then he played for the White Sox. He had like 3 good years. He had like 1 good year or 1 or 2 good years with like the Rockies, and then I think he ended up going back to the Rockies later on after that, towards the end of his career. But he played with the White Sox, had 1 good year where he hit like 46 home runs in like a single season or something like that. Like some like really great number, played lights out baseball. And then after that, boom, fell straight down a hole, right? And a guy like that. Same like with a guy like Chris Bryant on the Cubs. Okay, they're talking about, we got to pay. They got to, like his agents. You got to get paid. You got to get paid. You got to get paid. Why? You ain't shit, man. Like you're not putting up what your rookie numbers were. Your rookie numbers were awesome. Your rookie numbers is what you want to see from that player year 5 and year 7, right? But if you're only giving that year 1 and maybe a little bit of year 2, I mean, it's how you said it. I don't like that they do contract extensions. I don't like that. I like it when it comes towards the end. I mean, it doesn't make the fans happy, right? You can also reverse it back again, like Allen Robinson, right? You have a great wide receiver. I think the top 10, top 12 wide receiver in the league, right? I think that let's sign him, right? But also, let's let the season play out. Okay, I'm not happy about it as a fan, but analytically and like just thinking about it, right? Just thinking about this guy. What happens if in week 14 the man tears his ACL? Do I want to re-sign this dude? Probably not. It looks shitty, right? I get that, but you know what?
Right.
If it looks, you know what? If your feelings are hurt because teams take advantage of little things. Same thing with like a Dak Prescott, right? With him getting hurt, if it's that bad, like then don't watch it because that's what it's all about. Because these guys are getting paid millions of dollars a year. It's a $1 billion industry in each sport with MLB. I mean, shit. I mean, $1 billion and billions, right? For each sport. These guys getting paid to play a sport, and they're the best at what they do. So I don't feel bad for them ever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Keep them happy. Okay. I mean, Odell. Okay. Like the man's not happy. Okay. Well, then don't play. Right? Then don't play.
Right.
If you're not gonna be happy, then don't play. You're gonna hold
Right.
out because Le'Veon Bell, right? Same thing, right? He held out for a whole year. You just lost a whole year of your career, dude. Like, I thought football's your life. You know what I mean? And the same thing with baseball. And it bugs me that I get Mike Trout, 12 years, sure, lock that sucker down. But like a guy like Garrett Cole, I mean, really, like you have a pitcher too. That's even the harder one. You have a pitcher. I mean,
Right.
It's like you never know. Next year he could become nothing.
Right. His arm could be nothing, right? And 2-3 years in the deal. I mean, I think the crazy thing about it is I understand, right? Like from a player, how you want your new contract, you might hold out for the new contract because nothing's guaranteed. I respect that, but I also respect the team saying, you know what, I'm going to do what's best for the team, and it makes no sense paying you right now. I know it might make you happy, and I know it might be better recruiting, but down the road, it might not be good for the team. So you might have to sacrifice, the short-term love, right, for the longevity of the franchise. So, I definitely support teams that do it. I understand why. Hopefully the contract works out for both sides, but at the end of the day, I'm just not a fan of paying dudes early when you don't have to.
Yeah. All right. Now we'll go to this one. This one we'll keep it quick because I don't think there's too much talk about him, but maybe there is. So he got in a car accident a couple days ago, 2 days ago, yesterday
Right,
morning. They said that he had to go into surgery, something with his legs. This man was in surgery, I believe, a month ago or so, or maybe 2 months ago, and he had surgery somewhere with something else as well. Um, he may be the next Peyton Manning of the sport, where you just like, oh, here's 30 surgeries. You know what I mean? Like, um, I don't, I hate it because I love Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods. I grew up as the biggest Tiger Woods fan ever. You know what I mean? I mean, the story behind him where he goes to this young kid where he's just a lights out golfer and he sets all these records and he's just so good. And don't get me wrong, I thought maybe 3 years ago his career was done, right? And then
Right.
he went into it and he got rid of his caddy, longtime caddy, and his swing coach. He got rid of everybody and he said, "I'm gonna swing what makes me feel comfortable," right? And that's huge. And then for you to come and win a Masters too, post that of you doing that is even bigger, right? And I mean, it solidifies his legacy in golf. I mean, he's forever will go down as the best golfer to ever play the game. I think. I mean, he's just with so many. I mean, no one's even near him um, in the PGA wins for like the tours and like or for major championships. No one's even near him, right? I mean, he. I think they're like someone. I think he's. I think it's a. I can double check. You can fact check me, Arian. But I believe he is at 31. I believe the next closest is like 17. And some of these
Not
guys, go ahead.
not for majors. Jack is still above him. I think with 18. I think he has 15.
15.
So that
Okay.
sucks. But he has the most PGA Tour
PJ.
wins. So
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
but
So
no,
but yeah, so it's to me it's he's an icon. I mean, he will go down as the greatest golfer to ever play the game. You know what I mean? And you look at him and like a guy like Phil Mickelson. A guy like Phil Mickelson is he's a character and that's why you probably love him because he talks to the people. He forks up. He went to ASU as well, right?
yes, sir.
Um, but Tiger Woods, I think this is it. I think this is like that last straw. And if he comes back, I mean, how old is he? He's almost in his 40s, isn't he?
Yeah, he's close for sure. I mean, you're 100% right, right? Like we're talking about a dude with one of the greatest comeback stories in sports history, from everything he faced, right, to everything whatever. His
Yeah, yeah,
personal,
with the
we're
ladies
talking about
and all
right.
everything. Yeah,
Personal life, we're talking about dude who you're talking about surgeries and back. Like, dude didn't like at far didn't even know if he would play golf again to come back and win another major, which was so amazing. And I remember it was like one of the greatest moments and something I'll always remember, right? Watching sports. But the sad thing about it is before the surgery, before just like throughout the whole PGA season and tour, just like him not able to put 4 consecutive good days together, right? Like him always like having back problems or facing stiffness throughout the rounds and different things like that. It's just really sad. And the thing about it is, it was already probably not going to happen as far as him catching Jack in majors, right? But like it was still like a glimpse of hope where he was like, he might be able to do it. He pulls out one, he might be able to somehow finesse this. But like now it's just like, damn, I don't think he's able to do it. And I don't think he'll be able to catch him, and it's really really sad because that's a record that if you would have told someone 10, 12, 13 years ago, well, Tiger Woods shattered the record, people would have said easily. But due to everything, right, like off the pitch, personal life, and everything like that, he just was never ever able to reach that number. I'm glad he was able to beat the PGA record and get the wins back and somehow return to his old self, but now it just seems way too difficult, especially when you have like people like Dustin, who was like lights out at majors. You still got Brooks, you got Rory, like you got Jordan, you got you got. I mean, there's a bunch of dudes you can honestly go off and name, but it's really sad. I'm glad he's okay and he'll be able to work through it. But as far as like his career and actually catching Jack and even winning a few more tournaments, it's just in doubt, and it's really really sad because I was really rooting for him to get a couple more majors for
Oh yeah, I
sure.
mean that's the greatest, like you said, it's the greatest sports comeback in history. I mean, someone that literally has to just get rid of everybody and say, "I'm going to swing the club how I want to swing the club," and then you come back at that age too after back surgery and stuff like that, and you win a Masters. I mean, it's iconic. It's iconic for the sport. It's iconic for sports in general. Um, it's funny, the conversation that I had with someone the other day, and I saw it on Instagram as well. They talked about the best athletes, right? So you have the best athletes of Tom Brady, you have Serena Williams,
Yep.
and Tiger Woods is right there too. I think
Right there.
it's a top five with him, in there with Jordan and James, right? I mean, those
Yep.
five people right there are the greatest athletes to ever play the game. They're the best at their sports, not only in their time, but like forever. They'll always be engraved in that. And it also, I think too, what it might be is, and why maybe it's more, I think would somber be the word I'm looking for? Maybe that's
Right.
maybe a
Yeah. Yeah.
$5 word.
Yeah.
It's a somber feeling because it's kind of towards the end, anyways. You know what I mean? It's what it is. It's kind of just like how it was with Big Ben, right? Big Ben just kept holding on. He's trying to hold on still. Drew Brees, I think maybe he's at the end. Maybe he's got one more, sure, but he might be still kind of grabbing on. Tiger Woods is too. Brady, who knows what the hell that dude's up to? Like, he's weird. But even James too. Like, that man's getting old, right? Like, that bro's old. But at the same
Right.
time, I still think that there's still years of him being able to compete at a high level. But I just think that it's kind of bittersweet for us as fans, because you sit there and you see these guys just kind of reaching to try to grab it. They're just about to get there and they just can't get it, and that's what it is, and it sucks, right? But you also you said Jordan Spieth, man. Jordan Spieth, I had to stop watching that dude because he had that one good year where he was like, whoa, and then what happened? What happened
Right.
was he made a hell of money, and he said, "Yo, I'm gonna Johnny Manziel this sucker, and I'm gonna have some fun." I
Yeah.
mean,
No, 100%. He was supposed to be the next Tiger. Now I think Under Armour's trying to get out the deal. Rory was supposed to be the next Tiger. I mean, anyone that went to tournaments is supposed to be the next Tiger. But just to finish up, you're 100% right, and you're right. It's crazy watching these dudes, right, for all these years, and you used to them able to come through in big situations or to make certain shots, or just to be able to go on a killer run. And now, right, like you'll somewhat expect it, and it just won't happen. I think the craziest thing is, and think people forget, a lot of young people, is that Tiger in his prime might have been the most dominant athlete of all time, and now to watch him, it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out this surgery, how he comes out this situation. It might just all be too much for him, and maybe he just decides to retire. But it's definitely sad, and definitely going to move on, and hopefully he's able to at least get one more major. I would be really, really happy.
yeah,
So,
yeah. All right, well, let's finish it off with our favorite part of the show,
yes,
trivia.
sir.
I love
Yes,
trivia.
sir.
I think trivia is the number one. How many we got here? We got 5. All right, trivia. All right, so we'll start with the softball.
Yes, sir.
Which of these 4 teams is not a part of the AFC East? The Patriots, the Bills, the Steelers, or the Dolphins?
The Steelers. That was a softball. I thought I was gonna mess it up for a second, so let's get it.
What was the original name of the Chicago Bears? Before they're the Chicago Bears, who were they?
Uh, the Chicago Cubbies.
Arian, do you have a chance?
Weren't they the Cardinals?
No.
Damn.
They were the Staleys.
I thought it was the Cardinals, though.
The state. What the hell is a
The
state?
original name of the Chicago Bears was the Staleys. They could have been the Cardinals at one point, though, maybe.
I thought they were.
But they were the Staleys. That's why it's Staley the Bear.
That sounds like some old ass shit.
Yep. All right. In 2000, the Baltimore Ravens played 5 games in a row without doing what?
Uh, Making a touchdown.
Yep. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yep.
All right. Here we go. What is the name of the position player who races down the field during a punt play to try to tackle the punt returner as fast as they can? What is their position called?
Shit. I was gonna say sprinter, not flyer. I honestly, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of that. What
Arian,
is
do you
it?
have it? You know?
No, I don't know.
It's a gunner.
Connor. God damn! I knew it. I know it.
All right. Which quarterback has the highest completion percentage in a Super Bowl?
Um,
Which quarterback has the highest completion percentage in the Super Bowl? Yeah. I read that right.
Brady.
Well, probably now, right? This was 2018 was Phil Simms, so it's probably Brady now, right?
I would think. I
Just 'cause
think.
he's been two more. How many since 2018? He's been to two more since 2018.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brady's got the highest now.
Yeah. I think he's super efficient in this past game. So
All right. When a referee puts both hands on his hips, then points to the team playing defense, what penalty has he just called?
encroachment.
When a well, I guess, right?
Like offsides, right?
well,
like
yeah, it would be
offside.
offsides, but I guess they use both of them, don't they? Because when they say
Yeah.
encroachment, they do the hips, but and then when they say offsides, it's offsides too. I think it's a
Right.
quicker. I think when it's encroachment, it's like this. When it's offsides, he holds it.
Yeah.
That's a
But I
quicker
guess
one.
they're basically the same difference, same thing.
Yeah. All right. If a kicker attempts a field goal, here we go, math one. If a kicker attempts a field goal from the opponent's 30-yard line, how long is the attempt?
47.
How many seconds are allowed between plays in an NFL game? What's the length of the play clock?
40.
Feels good to get two in a row, right?
Yes, sir. We on fire.
All right, we got two more. All right, how many yards wide is the standard football field?
30 yards.
All right, guess again.
40.
It's with a decimal there. It's 53.5 yards.
Jesus, I was not even close. I was thinking like, damn, am I undershooting this? I was undershooting it for sure.
All right, and now we'll finish with a college football one. The College Football Hall of Fame is located in which city?
They give the Heisman there, or they did. I can't remember. How about
I'll give you a guess. It's south.
somewhere in I don't know, Bama, Texas, Gladsville.
Let's go east. Southeast state.
Virginia.
South. Keep going. We got you. Come on.
Florida.
North.
Tennessee. Nashville. I'm so geo-challenged.
Mike Vick played there.
Virginia Tech.
No, Mike
Blacksburg.
Vick. Mike Vick played NFL football in
Atlanta. God damn.
Oh man, I thought that was the best.
Jesus
That's the
Christ.
greatest ending right there.
Yeah, no, I was thinking like Virginia Tech. Yeah, no. For sure.
By the way, with the Cardinals thing, it was the Cardinals were the second team in Chicago before they moved to St. Louis, and then moved over to AZ. That's what I kept thinking. The Cardinals.
Okay, all right. So because it was the Staleys though before the Bears.
Right, and then there was the Chicago Cardinals as well. That's always confused me from back in the day.
All right, did we mess up anything else?
Yeah, that sounded good.
I'm trying to have him like that bro from when PTI used to do it with the one
Tony
dude
Reale.
and he looks like Arian too.
He does look like Arian.
He's like the kind of bro that would like throw something at someone and be like, "No errors today."
Yeah, he would be hella hyped
semi-handsome,
back in the chair. Yes, sir.
He's already, he's already looking him up right now, going, "All right, like, what's this bro look like?"
Yeah, switching up his angles and shit. Yep.
He says he's gonna start standing during these now.
For sure, I appreciated that.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show, Parlay Weekly. For everyone to listen, make sure you check us on lifeparlay.com. It's updated every single week. Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Buy some merchandise or something like that. Let's get those numbers up again. And I'll say this too, for anyone that listened all the way to right here, where we are, if you hit me up at lifeparlay@gmail.com, I will send you a gift. All right? I will send you a gift. I'm not telling you what that gift is because it could be just like a piece of paper in the mail saying thank you, but who knows? So if you're here listening to this point and you want a gift, hit me up at lifeparlay@gmail.com, and we can figure out what we can do. If you don't want to email me, hit me on Instagram, whatever else, and we can figure that one out. Chris, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks, my man.
All right.